There's nothing that brings greater joy than actually picking the fruits of your labour. Now the sun is out today, but it's not long been raining, and this fresh bit of rain that's hit all the foliage has really spurred on the actual growth of the plants. And I've noticed some of my beetroots are pretty much ready to eat. Now the good thing about beetroots is you can pick them at whatever size you actually want. Now this one I'm going to take out because this one is ready. And because I multi-sow, I like to take out the biggest just so I can let the other ones grow. These are cylindrical beets, and I like these because they're so much easier to cook with and give you some really nice slices of even beetroot. I've also managed to harvest some broccoli too. And even some kale. With broccoli, you need to harvest it as soon as it's ready. Mine was ready a couple of days before, and I left it. And it's just, you can see it just starting to want to blow, which means it will flower and go to seed. Now it's still edible, but it won't be as tasty as it was before. So don't leave them on your plants for too long. Once they get to a suitable size, make sure you harvest them with a really good clean cut. Now, if you just take the top head, the first head that develops, you'll notice that you'll actually have more side shoots coming off of that plant. Leave them. Do not pull this stem out of the ground. This will give you additional broccoli going through the season. It will be smaller than the main head. It will still be just as tasty. Now with the kale, you can actually harvest it as soon as it starts getting big. Now, very much like the lettuces we grow, where we just pick the leaves that we want off the main head, we do the same with the kale. The kale, we literally just take a few leaves at a time until we need to harvest a little bit more if it's starting to get tough. But just try and keep up with those bits of harvest, because a lot of the times, and I'm bad for this as well, we'll let it go too far and then it can be kind of a wasted crop. Now talking of too far, this is our parsley. Now this was parsley that we actually left in the ground from last year, and as you can see, it's going to flower. Now we've done this one on purpose because I actually want to save the seeds off this parsley plant. You can see a little ladybird. Now that's the first ladybird I've actually seen this year. It's been very disappointing this year for ladybirds. Now the good thing about beetroots and multi-sowing is that literally it takes up less room and as things reach maturity or to the size that you want them, you just take out the biggest, and this will give more room to those smaller beets, giving you a consistent crop. Now we have actually sown beetroots. I think I've got 3 lots of different sowings in the ground already after these ones. And then I've got another 3 trays to go in a little bit later. Now they have germinated, but I want them to go a little bit bigger before I put them into the ground, so they've got a better chance of surviving. I've said it before, there is, for some reason, people keep telling people that beetroots don't transplant well. They do. There is not an issue with transplanting beetroots. Sometimes with any transplants, they will sulk for a little bit after being transplanted into the ground. This isn't uncommon with any plant, but we sow and have done for many years all our beetroots multi-sown in cells, so we can actually keep an eye on and thin out if we need to. Never had an issue with transplanting, so don't worry about it. Multi-sow your beetroots, you'll get more of a crop, you'll get a tasty crop, and you'll have more of a success rate. Our third harvest of peas was picked yesterday as well, and we got quite a lot of peas from that, which I've got to pod today. Now normally I try and pod on the same day, get them in, parboil them for just literally 30 seconds to a minute and then freeze. There is no better way of preserving your peas than freezing. keeps all the sweetness and the nutrients in, so don't shy away from freezing your peas. But there's still a lot of peas on this plant, which is great, because I've also got peas on the end of a different variety that are starting to swell slowly. And the peas that I've got at the very top of the allotment have really started to reach and grow up, and they even have a few flowers on. So I may be inundated with peas this year, so I'll figure a way of using those. Things like your broad beans that you should be harvesting around about now, if not before. Just make sure that you pod them as soon as possible and either eat them or process them in any way that you see fit. I actually like to parboil them and then slip them out of those rubbery skins. Now you want to be harvesting your fruits and veggies and things either early morning or late evening. This will stop it wilting quite as much as if you do it in the heat of the day. And whatever you do, make sure it's your last job before you leave the allotment, because sitting in a basket or a box or a bag will do it no favours, and you'll probably find whatever you picked will be seriously sweating or wilting by the time you get it home. But enjoy the harvest, be it a tiny couple of strawberries, a massive harvest of potatoes, inundated with fruits or vegetables, or gained very little this year. Don't give up hope. There's always next year, and we've still got a lot of growing season left, so don't give up hope on this. And make sure you use your fruits and your vegetables. Any cuttings, any plants that are left over that are not usable to eat, stick on your compost pile. It's a great addition this time of year with all the green stems, leaves and plants that you can put on there, which will really bulk it up for your compost heap. It won't be long before more of my broccoli, more of my beans, the cabbages won't be long at all now. And even my onions, they should be ready in the next month or two. We only sowed them this year, or planted them this year, so they're not ready till the end of August, maybe even September. So we'll judge those as we go along. But while you're harvesting, remember to keep sowing. There's still stuff that you can sow. And if you look at my previous video, much of the things that I mention in there, you can still sow up to now. So don't lose heart. Even if you have to buy the plug plants or the actual plants from a nursery or garden centre, get something in your ground. It's much more satisfying seeing plants grow than it is seeing completely bare ground that will be covered in weeds very quick. Along with your harvests, don't forget to look after the plants that are still yet to be harvested. Now we've started cutting back our chilies a little bit, just to give it a little bit more airflow in here. And as you can see, we are starting to get loads and loads of chilies, which I'll be really interested to see how they taste. Now I think, off the top of my head, these are cayennes, so they should be a reasonable heat. But for next year, I really want to look into growing some more of the smoky flavoured chilies. I absolutely love these kind of chilies, but I don't know whether I'm going to be able to grow that kind of thing here. Now I might be able to, but I'm going to give it a go. Now it's the same with your tomatoes too. Make sure you're taking off any side stems and even some of the lower stems to keep the air circulating around it. We're coming up to blight season soon, and especially ones outside where you have no control of watering in general or weather conditions. You need to make sure that you're creating enough airflow and space in between your plants. But we're starting to get some absolutely beautiful things on here. Yeah, this particular plant is banana legs, and it's not something we've grown before. And it actually looks like we're going to have a really good crop, which I cannot wait for. And even the basil. This basil is going to pair beautifully with the flavour of these tomatoes. So enjoy your harvest, guys. You've put in all this hard work to get to where you've got to. Now it's time to start enjoying those fruits and veggies.